Hello, Morongo Basin and listeners around the world online at Z107.7 Here is the Z107.7 local news for Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. A suspect in the alleged hit-and-run collision that killed Yucca Valley teen Joshua Barreras has been identified and is expected to turn himself in later this month. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department says that Barreras, 16, was struck and killed in a hit-and-run collision on the night of January 26th. The collision occurred on 29 Palms Highway near Avalon Avenue in Yucca Valley. Barreras was found lying unconscious in the center median and was pronounced dead at a hospital later that night. Detectives with the Sheriff's Department say that evidence at the scene of the collision showed that a white Dodge Ram 5500 tow truck was involved in the collision, and further evidence matched the truck to one driven by Troy Reynolds, a 57-year-old resident of Yucca Valley. Detectives say Reynolds made no effort to report the collision to law enforcement and instead made extensive efforts to conceal his involvement, and they recovered parts from Reynolds' truck consistent with the collision at a body shop in Riverside County, where the parts were removed shortly after the hit and run. Yesterday morning, the San Bernardino County District Attorney filed a felony complaint charging Reynolds with hit and run, resulting in death to another person. And the Sheriff's Department say they've been told that Reynolds is expected to surrender in court for booking and arraignment on the felony complaint on February 27th. At last night's meeting, the Yucca Valley Town Council approved a major raise for council members effective in 2025. They also discussed designing new signs to help beautify the town. Here is reporter Adeline J. Wells with more from last night's meeting.
The council discussed creating 3 new monument signs for the town of Yucca Valley, one on the east and west ends of 29 Palms Highway and one to the north on Highway 247. All signs should be located in a safe location for drivers to pull over and take photographs. The council favored collaborating with local artists, the Arts Council, the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Commission, or the Youth Commission for the design. Further branding and marketing for the town of Yucca Valley remains an option. The council also received a report on the recent uptick of vandalism and graffiti occurrences in Yucca Valley. While utility boxes and blank walls are the most common sites, several recent vandalism occurrences at Brem Park were more extensive and costly for the town. The council discussed contracting painters for faster graffiti removal on public property. Council members were also in favor of an award program for providing information leading to the arrest of violators, the details of which will be discussed at a future meeting. The town council awarded the design services for the Yucca Valley Athletic Facilities pickleball courts, with the inclusion of more parking, basketball courts, and an expanded skate park if space allows. Council members voted to keep the project central to the community center, evaluating additional sites only if necessary. Lastly, Council member Schooler and Mayor Lombardo agreed to serve as representatives on a new ad hoc committee with the High Desert Water District. Reporting for Z107.7, I'm Adeline J. Wells.
The 29 Palms Planning Commission gathered last night to host a public hearing on commercial campgrounds and conduct a thorough examination of vacation home rental violations over the past 3 years. Reporter Heather Clisby was there.
Last night's meeting of the 29 Palms Planning Commission covered issues related to housing, camping, and vacation home rental violations. Under the consent calendar, the Commission briefly discussed the Housing Element Annual Progress Report before forwarding to the City Council. According to state analysis reports, 27 residential units were constructed last year in the city, and 13 residential units are currently in process. An additional 989 new residential units are needed for the city to meet regional housing needs assessment goals. Next, there was a public hearing on commercial campgrounds. After hearing from several residents who opposed the idea and having a deeper discussion around appropriate zoning, required amenities, and tourism, the Commission directed staff to return with a study session proposal. Finally, the Commission took a deep dive into a 3-year database for VHR complaints and violations. Community Development Director Keith Gardner noted that Council sent this back to the Commission specifically for examination and suggestions. The plan is to make any changes part of the administrative policy and not simply the development code to allow for flexibility and transparency. Most common complaint, noise, is the big one, followed by red tags and unpermitted improvements such as cowboy pools, spas, and mini splits. The bulk of complaints, 31%, result in no violation, mainly due to complaints coming after the fact. People who call about noise on a Friday night 2 days later, instead of contacting the sheriff, calling the owner, or calling Southwest Security Services, the city's private firm specifically retained to handle VHR complaints. There was much discussion about making the document more detailed and available publicly. Reporting for Z107.7, I'm Heather Clisby.
The Morongo Valley Community Services District Board of Directors will be holding their regular open session meeting at 6 p.m. at Covington Park's multipurpose room, as well as a closed session special meeting at 5 p.m. Assignment reporter Gabriel Hart takes a look at both meetings' agendas.
Starting with closed session at 5 p.m., the board will officially be appointing a new general manager after interviewing multiple applicants on February 3rd. For open session at 6 p.m., the board has a full plate of new business and action items. The board will review, discuss, and approve a new fire chief job description, general manager contract, the updated MVCSD handbook, and the Smith Marion & Co. audit draft. Past due notices from the CSD's short-lived legal counsel Best and Krieger will be reviewed, as well as the firefighter auxiliary's request for Covington to become a tobacco-free park. The board will discuss and sign a resolution between the MVCSD and the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection for dispatch services during the fiscal years of 2023 and 26. Low-income residents of Morongo Valley will have the option of a fee waiver for balances over $500, limited to 2 waivers per year, and board members will discuss and approve this waiver form. A Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, between the MVCSD and the Morongo Valley professional firefighters to do business is up for renewal. Since the board has moved forward with separating fire chief and general manager duties, the board will answer questions on how the current budget will afford paying for 2 separate roles. T-Mobile is investing $25 million into 500 rural towns over the next 5 years as part of their Hometown Grant project, and the board will discuss steps moving forward to take advantage of this grant. After open session, the board will adjourn back to closed session to conference with labor negotiators and legal counsel. Reporting for Z107.7, this is assignment reporter Gabriel Hart.
Directors at Yucca Valley's High Desert Water District meet in regular session at 4 o'clock today, and on down the road in Joshua Tree, the Joshua Basin Water District's regular meeting begins promptly at 5:30 p.m. Here's reporter Mike Lipsitz with your Wednesday Water Roundup.
At the High Desert Water District, directors will grapple with the rising cost of employee medical benefits, as well as certification compensation and other items. Today's meeting takes place at the district office on the highway at Inca Trail. Joshua Basin Water District directors will consider adoption of a local hazard mitigation plan and the likely approval of a memorandum of understanding with Joshua Tree National Park in connection with the use of native plants over invasive species. Tonight's meeting is at the district office on Choita Road in Joshua Tree, where the public is welcome to attend. See this story at Z107.7fm.com for links to both agendas, which include instructions for remote attendance. Reporting for Z107.7 News, this is Mike Lipsitz.
Nearly 100 people participated in Reach Out Morongo Basin's Parade of Homes fundraiser. The annual event, in its 20th year, invites locals and visitors to pop in to unique homes owned by noteworthy high desert residents. This year's homes, one each in Joshua Tree, 29 Palms, and Yucca Valley, saw about 100 visitors, which raised $3,000 for Reach Out Morongo Basin, an organization that provides services to the elderly and disabled in the community. Reach Out Morongo Basin Executive Director Robin Schlosser said, "People love attending the event to explore the homes and enjoy the beauty of our Morongo Basin." And finally, on last week's Up Close show, host Gary Daigneault spoke with Copper Mountain College Superintendent President Darren Otten about CMC and MUSD's partnership with their dual enrollment program, which offers high school students a large leap forward into their future. Assignment reporter Gabriel Hart rejoins us with a closer look at their conversation.
Copper Mountain College's close cooperation with MUSD could be described as synergetic, 2 sources working in harmony to create an enhanced effect for the Morongo Basin student. CMC President Darren Otten spoke to Daigneault about the dual enrollment program, where an MUSD high school student can take college-level courses to gain credits toward both a high school diploma and towards a college degree.
We are launching here in the fall of 24 in partnership with MUSD this early college initiative, which will start with cohorts of 20 students at each of the high schools, scaling each year, adding an extra cohort of 20 students that will ultimately, our long-term goal is that on the day a student graduates a Morongo Unified High School, they will also graduate CMC with an associate's degree.
MUSD Assistant Superintendent of Instructional Services Amy Woods called into the program to offer statistical testimony to Otten and his leadership.
Right about when Dr. Otten came in, we had maybe 150, 175 students that were in dual enrollment basin-wide, and this year we have 701 students that are in dual enrollment. Yeah, it's a huge jump, and that is due truly to Copper Mountain's willingness to expand the model to, some in person and some Zoom, that allows all of our students at both of our high schools to be able to take the same course at the same time in the same period. And so there's more equity with our students.
Otten cited valedictorian Harmony Hill, who graduated from MUSD and CMC on the same day last year, then reminded us of one of the biggest benefits to parents through this program.
The dollars that are saved, the fact that at 18, 19 years old, you can be done with, an associate's degree at a minimum general education and then only have one more year to go. It's pretty amazing.
Reporting for Z107.7, this is assignment reporter Gabriel Hart.
That's our local news. Hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. Reporting for the Morongo Basin News Leader, the award-winning Z107.7 Local News, I'm Jeff Harmetz.